This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. This one's certain to be unhinged. We are dealing with the WSOP Hangover, and pre-production is. I honestly, I think we might start a Patreon and just put the pre-production behind the wall. Because
oh man, I don't know about that.
It's too unhinged to put out publicly. Like we'll get canceled instantly for sure.
Yeah.
And it's too gold to not put out at all.
Oh, man.
I think like this has to be the plan.
The
Like,
problem is we can't.
why?
Well, because you can still get canceled.
Yeah, we use too many days.
Not that we're saying anything that's cancelable.
It's all Conrad.
It is all Conrad.
He can't be
It
canceled.
was, but normally it's not.
No, it's always you.
Oh my god.
It's always Conrad
whatever.
saying things that shouldn't be said, and
Hey, I'm just
Man.
speaking my mind.
It's like you're two people.
Hey,
Like,
I'm not saying anything. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm
There's
out
one
here.
person when like you refer to yourself as I/me, and then there's a second version of you that only refers to yourself as Conrad.
Well,
There's two versions of you.
That's who
no,
he is.
it's always just Conrad.
I think maybe we just like let him and Jamin chop it up and stuff it behind the paywall.
Are you gonna pay Jamin or no?
Nah, he just wants to speak, man. He just wants to get his
He just
thoughts
wants his
out.
voice to be heard. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
We don't really have anything special planned today. I want to talk baseball, so we'll get into that a little bit later.
Ooh.
Don't you fucking boo.
Boo.
Don't
Yay,
you
baseball.
I will direct
Yay.
this conversation at you and you alone if you keep it up.
Do it.
Wait, can we just put pictures of people that were in the All Star game and Melissa can judge them?
No.
Okay.
That was miserable.
They wear helmets. There's nothing to judge. Helmets and hats. Really reduces. Besides, we've already gone through this. This was what the entire pre-production conversation was. Hillary Swank versus Jennifer Gardner. They're the same person. Have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time? I haven't. You ever seen them in the same movie? Nope. Same human being, for sure. Clones. This is how I know that the sim exists and that we're all just aliens.
Don't even look alike.
We've been known that.
Got my first pedicure yesterday.
Oh man.
Don't know how this happened to. Honestly, it was very. Shout out to Jamin. He sends a super chat. He goes, "You honkies can't cancel me."
I like that when people want us to read their comment, they just give us money.
He's not wrong. It is really sharp on both ends. I don't know how this happened. Either Danielle secretly listens to the show.
Oh.
For those of you who don't know, that's my best friend who claims that she's never watched a single second of this, and I believe it.
I don't.
So either she's secretly watching the show, or we are actually in a sim, and whatever you speak into existence just happens.
He's definitely watching. She's watching right now. She just would never give you the moment of satisfaction to let you know that she watches the show.
Honestly, I think you're right.
I'm
Because,
100% right.
Because when I
Hi,
say
Danielle.
when I say when I say some fucked up things about the World Series,
Yep.
she'll just like kind of hint around and just be like, "Well, if you have a complaint, just write it down." It's like,
There's a suggestion box
what
for
are
you.
What are you implying here? So I took my hardened feet, so to speak, to get a pedicure yesterday,
my
and they
God,
were
so gross.
they were exactly as I said.
God, you're
They're
gonna play?
beautiful feet.
Oh no. We're really gonna show it, aren't we?
Oh my God.
Honestly,
this is so
I
gross.
don't mind this, honestly.
Honestly, she turned the video on
Disgusting
too. Melissa turned the video on too late. The first foot was way worse.
It was literally on her shirt.
Oh my God,
there was-
so gross.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't find it that gross. I don't know.
It was.
I don't mind it.
It was. I don't even know that was necessary, to be honest.
Just
That
dead
was
skin.
that was 30 years of athleticism that just got shaved right off of me. I'm
Yeah,
a
but how do your
pound
feet
lighter.
feel? How do your feet feel now?
Fine, the same. I think it's massively
Did
overrated.
they feel like smoother?
So smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth as a baby's bottom.
Yeah,
Right.
So what's it? Why is it overrated then? If they feel nice.
Well, the cows weren't bothering me at all,
Are
and
they
I don't
gonna-
know. I
is it
imagine they
gonna
were there
hurt
for a reason.
now when you Well, you don't run, but
Oh, the fuck I don't.
you run.
You think?
The fuck he does.
I got another 20 years in me before
You
I
run?
start slowing down.
He doesn't run.
You
He
don't
runs
run.
nowhere.
I run.
No,
When?
you don't.
When I play pickleball. lot of lateral movement, you know?
Right. I mean, you don't like run. Like you don't go for a run.
No.
No, I'm not
doesn't.
interested in beating the pavement. No.
Right.
But
right. Yes, of
have-
course you move. I understand that. You
I will be getting
You
into
exercise.
more. I'm working on a cut phase right now, so I'll be getting into more cardio at the gym.
yeah.
We'll
What are
be
you
doing.
supposed to weigh at the end of it?
I'm less concerned with weight and more concerned with body fat percentage, but I think I'll probably get down to about 185.
So 10 pounds lighter than me.
Yeah. I'm like 190-ish now.
How do we weigh the same?
We don't. You weigh more than me.
Ugh,
His
yeah,
is all in his fingers.
Yeah, it is. Stubby fucking fingers. Look at his fingers. Look, he's got stubby hands.
I do not, you can't call them stubby,
Yes,
man.
you can. They're
I have
like
big
compact.
hands.
No.
You're right, though. I do have a lot of palm.
That's what I mean. You can have big hands and have stubby.
You have stubby fingers.
It definitely
Yeah.
does. My fingers
Are
definitely have.
disproportional to your palm.
Well, they're not. No, the hand looks normal and fine. It's just I have a lot of palm, which for
well,
athletics is a bad
debatable.
thing. Like I can't palm a basketball, and I didn't get a lot of whip when throwing because I don't have long fingers.
Landon
Like if you ever look
has,
at Pedro Martinez's fingers,
I have nice fingers.
He has like
You
no
have
palm.
Pianist fingers.
He's just all fingers.
He's just all fingers. Like, you know, how does a 5'9" guy throw 96? Well, he has fingers the size of a 7-foot giant. And it's just like all that whip that
This
you
reminds
get.
me of when Marco Rubio told Trump that he had small hands. He's like, I don't think they're small. I don't think they're small.
They're a bit small. Girls look at hands. Guys' hands.
And feet.
Mostly their hands.
Sometimes feet.
Sometimes feet. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Just saying size 13
See,
out there
'cause,
for
like,
all the
you have
people wondering.
see like you have stubbier fingers than I do. Like my
You
hands
have-
are like
You just have
long
bigger
fingers.
hands than me,
Piano
period.
You're also
yeah, but he has,
longer than
he
him.
has
You're
lean
lanky-
fingers. Like he
more
has
lanky than him.
long, skinny fingers. That's like OBGYN fingers. You know what? My mom literally, my mom used to say this like when we were kids. Like she'd be like to my friend had really long fingers, my best friend. She was like, you have like a OBGYN fingers.
Okay, I
And I was
don't
like,
think.
what's that? And
I think your mom is out of pocket here.
oh, absolutely, always out of pocket. She
She's never in the
absolutely
pocket.
She was never inside of. There was never been a time when she was in a pocket.
I'm relatively confident that part of becoming an OBGYN is not having a certain finger type.
Well, she seems to think otherwise.
I think OBGYN is code for a good
OBGYN
time.
fingers. She said that to my 8-year-old friend. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
So would you ever go back and get another pedicure?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
You
enjoyed it?
No.
I've never gotten.
No.
You enjoyed it.
I
You
don't
did.
know. what the
I definitely
experience
did.
is.
I liked the wax.
So did I.
They didn't even use the cheese. She said she picked up my foot and said, "What's so clean?"
Yeah, we both had smashed toe.
I don't
guys
know
had
how
smashed.
yours was so clean. I've seen the bottom of your feet before.
Well, that's because I work out barefoot,
Right.
but they were clean. I had just showered,
Okay.
They caught you at a good time.
Yeah.
but no calluses.
I almost jumped into a whole another conversation, a side convo that's been going on in our group chat, and I'm not gonna go there. The pre-wash, you know. Don't. We're gonna stick a pin in that.
Sink wash.
No.
You have to go to
Yes.
You need the Patreon for that one.
Yeah. That. See, I'm starting.
By the way, guys, it's not my sink wash. This is not, like, now we have to say a little bit. It's not me that's washing in the sink. It was somebody else,
It
and
was-
it's a running joke now.
Okay, we don't even know that it happened, but
It's
you know.
yeah, no one knows if it happened.
It's
or
been
not.
confirmed.
It's like
Yeah, somebody walked in and you know there was just a lot of splashing taking place. The Irish,
Did you guys hear
Irish
splashing?
bath.
wash. You know, it either
Right.
happened. If you know it happened, it happened. But if you don't, it didn't happen.
Yeah. I am really starting to see the vision for the Patreon account, by
Yeah.
the way. Like
Yeah.
it's becoming
Slowly.
quite clear to me.
Right.
All we're gonna do is just release our group chat.
Yes.
We're not even gonna talk. We're just gonna put it out in
Yeah,
text.
in a transcript.
Yeah, and then do the voices.
That would be funny, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't worth $100. I don't think.
That was expensive for a pedicure.
I also
usually
would
don't pay
never
that
do
much.
it by myself. Like,
Wait, they charged you $100?
Yeah, it was expensive.
like a
well,
lot.
it's like 75 plus
75
tip.
plus tips. So I just
With-
get
And
Manicure
since she used
too?
the cheese
Yeah.
grater on me, I
That's
gave her
how much
20.
it cost for me to get my fake nails and my toes done at the
Yeah,
place
that's
I
because your
go
feet
to.
were just nasty.
No, everybody paid the same. What was
No,
yours?
but the place I go to.
Right.
It's
Mine
like,
was the
no,
same as
Berkey, I
yours,
charge
because
you
I
a
got
lot
Joe.
more.
Nah, most places charge $20 extra for men.
You can see why.
It wasn't that bad. Jesus.
That was fun. I would do it again, 100%.
I would do it
great time.
again in a group just because
Yeah.
it was nice company, I guess. I was getting antsy towards the end with like when Landon hadn't been started yet
Oh yeah.
and I was already like air drying. I'm just like, all right, can we get this
Bro,
fucking
that's
show
because
over?
I had to wait for you guys. They didn't have enough people.
I understand.
Not your fault.
I know, but
We're not
been-
blaming you. I'm blaming them.
It feels like I'm being blamed here,
You
and I
are.
don't like it.
It's your fault. You should have done better.
Yeah.
When are you ever going to meet expectation? Okay,
Dude, it's
You're
been a
goddamn
long
disappointment.
I know, man. It's been a while,
Apply
dude.
yourself.
I've been trying. I've been trying, you know.
Get out of the lab, get on the streets.
I tried shot taking again. It didn't go well.
Not taking a
I
pedicure.
I played too good again.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Last night, Landon texted me. I'm like 3/4 asleep in bed, and he's like, "Man, I hate when big shots don't work out." And no context
What did he
whatsoever. I'm
do?
just like, "What?" And then he sends me a screenshot of a hand that he played at 10K NL on WSOP. It was like him, Barry Greenstein, a couple others, and it's him just running it with threes on an ace high board. as the standard cooler.
Standard.
So he defends button with threes and gets checked to on an ace high board. And he just runs it, and the guy calls with ace queen, which ultimately is top 2. And he's just like, "Shocker! The sim loves this." And I'm like, "Hey, maybe when we have a buy-in, we don't rocket it off with 7th pair. I don't know."
I love when Landon says, "I got deuces a bunch." You just know what he means.
My first 3 hands in the main this year was literally deuces, deuces, deuces.
It was literally my favorite
No.
text ever.
It was
'cause I just
triple.
started
I
dying.
kept getting deuces, and normally the machine loves rocketing off deuces because you don't block their hands that are going to fold later. So you're basically value bluffing, and then sometimes you turn a deuce. So every hand is just me getting checked to and running it with deuces, and sometimes getting calls. But this is
Brian
playing
Hanks
too
was
good,
right
man.
all along. Those mallards, man. That's
Yeah.
the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've no set, no bet is the right way to go. All this other stuff is lie.
That's the life I live. That is definitely the
No
life I
bet.
live.
I see no set, bet. You know,
Yeah.
you guys see no set, no bet. Not me. You know, if you ever think I don't have a bluff in a spot, just be like, oh, he's got deuces. And you're probably
no
right.
one ever
just
thinks
come
that you
talk to
don't
the
have a
tortoise.
bluff.
I'll tell you how to play deuces.
The tortoise's guide to deuces.
Nobody's
Tortoise
ever been in a
knowledge.
river decision versus you facing all in, saying like, "You know what? I just don't think Landon bluffs here enough." I'm gonna fold.
Okay,
I'm gonna
I'll say
fold
it,
good
man.
hand.
I'll say it, man. Chewy said that to me once, and like he knows how I play pretty intimately.
Sure.
Right? Like he just knows how I kind of play and goes, "Yeah, I just don't think you're a bluff in this spot."
Wow.
And that was just like I was like, "This is so disrespectful."
You were so
to me.
insulted.
That was so insulting.
He's actually he set your career back 5 years by making that one innocent little comment. Because now Landon's determined to find bluffs on the 999 deuce 3 board.
Yeah.
ace 4, baby.
He's tried so many times to get somebody off of a goddamn 9 or an overpair.
I'm not getting someone to full quads, my G.
You tried though. You've tried.
No, I call it growing up, man. I remember on the bubble of the 3K this year, I had a hand where with like stone bubble. I open ace 4 diamonds covering. Board runs out. Queen 8, 8, 8, 7. And I was like, wow, I have ace 4. I have a hand that would love to go all in. But you know what? He's not going to fold a queen. So I check. I need a queen. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is growing up.
Yeah.
This is what
Good
becoming
job,
this is what
Landon.
becoming an adult is like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Discipline.
I have a lot of those talks with myself on the river where I go, okay, I have a pretty good bluff catcher here. You know, I want to call because that's just my inherent nature is I can't win the pot if I don't call.
Right, you can't win if you fold.
Right. So it's like, I really want to call. Let me search for all the reasons of how.
Right.
How much value does he have? And I'll start counting and it'll be like, oh, that's like 18 combinations of value. Shit. Okay, well, he bet pot, so he needs to have like 9 bluffs. Let me find the bluffs. And they're not immediately there, right? So it's like,
Yeah, you have to like magic
when you
bluff.
have to really dig in the crevices of your brain to find them, it's
so I
yeah.
start getting creative with it. It's
You
like,
have deuces.
okay, well, you know, obviously deuces through 4s are bluffing here. That's 18 combos alone.
Hey, welcome to my
let's
life.
say let's say he only has those in quarter combos. All right, so now I need to find 4 more. Well, let me see. Well, Jack 10's nothing. I mean, he might get here with Jack 10.
8-3 off is nothing.
Jack 10 was a backdoor straight draw on the flop. He obviously wasn't folding it there, and I only bet small on the turn, so maybe he double floated me with an overcard. Yeah, I think he has Jack 10 suited here in enough call.
Set.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yes. That's
Like-
like me when I get to river and it's like I could check back and give up. But that's
No.
usually not going to happen.
Giving up's for cowards.
Yeah, so then I'm just like, there's a part of it's like the angel and the devil, and it's like he's not going to fold top pair, not going to fold it. Then it's just like 2x pot. My body does something different than my
just
brain.
see.
Yeah, and snap top pair.
Man.
There was
Yeah, nice hand.
There was a hand I played at some point over the summer where we landed on turn, and I had an open-ended to the nuts on a two-tone board. And the way the hand probably plays in theory is it mixes between folding and raising. But it was just an instance where it was like, I definitely have like decent implied odds here if I call and hit. And I basically what I'm saying is I think he's strong enough that a raise drastically underperforms. And I don't want to fold because I think I have enough implieds.
Of course.
Where if I get there, I'm going to get at least another river bet on the river, if not a check raise. So I call, and then I whiff, and now I'm holding like 6 high.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, we had the conversation on the turn. You are going to check this, and you're going to show it down and lose with pride. Because like the flush card filled it, and I had the opportunity to bluff, and I was like, no. Don't do it, man.
Well, I have 6 high.
You knew you were strong on the turn. You just have 6 high. It's not going to fucking work. Don't punt this opportunity. And I check, and the man like tanks and gives me this hard look in the face and then checks back a set. And I was like, thank you. I'm so happy. So happy right now.
There is discipline is very important.
Discipline.
It is.
Discipline's very important, but I know the feeling because like when you take a line normally that doesn't happen much on like a flop or a turn, on river, barring the integrity of the board staying the same, like no flush comes in, no board pair comes in, you are supposed to run the bluff.
Right.
But that is terrifying when you get called. So poker's hard,
Well, it's also
poker's
that
scary.
people are like if you overbet the turn and they call like
You have to call
pot
the
off
river.
versus big blind, it's like they probably just have a hand they're gonna call river with.
Well, honestly, like I think the easiest way to examine those spots is if you actually, obviously you can't do it in real time, but if you look at like those overbet nodes on the turn and then look at how the opponent is supposed to respond,
right,
like in equilibrium, and look at like where the fringe lies to meet MDF, and then now revert back to the live scenario and just look the guy in the face and say like, how often is this man peeling with bottom pair here versus the overbet?
He's not.
Yeah, just like know that he's not. It's
He's
like,
not.
oh, I bet he's overfolding to this bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't run it on the
Right.
river.
Like if he's getting to the river, he's probably gonna call you.
Yeah.
Unless the board changes, then maybe not.
Yeah, it's tough because like when you do have like some of the back end data stuff, when you look at like online things and things of that nature, most people don't call river enough. So if you're bluffing, it's probably a good idea. But then again, there are some spots where bluffing doesn't work and shouldn't work, and in practice is a bad spot too. And sometimes you remember that like you're playing against someone, especially at higher stakes, that is like if you consider them like a reg or like have some form of respect for their play style, you'll kind of realize, okay, they're going to be continuing wide enough here, they're going to be continuing this, that, and the other. And then like the edge is kind of figuring out, okay, where is the overfold happening? Is it happening turn? Is it happening river? Is it happening flop? And then making those judgment calls is really tough when you're playing for lots of money and you're running 0 EV bluffs, because in practice, bluffs are never really 0 EV. They're either like winning a lot. There's like a spectrum of losing a lot to winning a lot.
In order to be 0 EV, they have to be calling correctly.
Right. So by default, like as is human nature, things are not inherently 0. But in theory, they're 0, but you're not playing the machine in the moment. So it's this gradient scale of, is this bluff winning a lot? Is this bluff losing a lot? And then you have to kind of intuit and find out for yourself where that lies. Because also you don't bluff, then they can start folding, and then you're the idiot. But if they
Yes.
do call you correctly, you
Yeah,
feel like
but here's the
idiot.
thing, man. You've built up enough cachet. Like, both of us, we could go a decade.
Face.
We could go a decade in the live venue without having enough bluffs in any of the notes.
You could say it out loud like you are now.
I'll
you
tell
guys will
you.
get paid off. Like
100% will get called by the right bluff
yeah.
catchers.
You guys and Conrad, you guys will always get paid.
No.
Me and Tortoise, like it's
Nope.
for me,
Yeah.
it's like people are either always calling me or they're never calling me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
like,
very polarizing.
Yeah, Lamanna is like getting overfolded to by probably 25%.
You should be running it
I
on
should be
every
blasting
board.
off.
You should be running it on
Yeah.
every
But the
single
thing
board.
is the reason he's getting overfolded to is because he doesn't know what the bluff node looks like.
Right.
So he can't find those candidates. And like when he does bluff, yeah, it works. But it's because he spent so much time cherry picking out this one moment in
The tortoise
in a
and I
large.
should change. We should change, like, for one day we just change brains and we play like a tournament.
Yeah.
Where
You
you,
guys would
play the.
print.
We both win. We finished 1 and 2.
No, but the thing is, you wouldn't because
You would
you
be
would get
used to
adjusted
playing
to
your-
very quickly,
Yeah.
right? Like when
That's
your aggression,
true.
the reason why you get overfolded to is because your aggression factor is so low.
That's
Whenever
true.
it goes up,
They'll see the tortoise
become
going
competent.
too fast. People will start asking
You
questions.
guys are making a lot of assumptions about my game.
We are. We actually are.
Yeah, it's not
I
like you guys
played-
have seen.
I played enough in the
Yeah.
in the OnlyFriends home game
We
to
played.
know.
We
What
played,
I
we
realized
played
is
20 hands.
I need,
20.
and I think you would be the perfect person to do this. I need a like whale simulation game where
And
like,
I'm the whale,
yeah, because you know how to play like, you know,
whale style.
yeah, you did that in the, you were splashing,
I gotta
doing
tell you,
limp,
that
limp
was-
stuff and
I
whatever.
felt very bad doing it.
He calls it whale style.
I need like a simulated whale game where everyone's just playing insane and crazy and like
I could do that. I used to do this way back in the day to like try to get better, I guess. But I would play micros online. Well, relative micros, like 10 cent, 25 cent. And I would only play over bet or check strategies. So I would only bet like pot and
On
a half or
flops.
check for any
street.
Any street.
Okay.
So I would start by like opening 5x pre, and then whenever I would get action, I would only play over bet or check. And back then, I was shocked like how much it showed me with regard to, let's call them pain thresholds, right? Like, because you would basically split the pool into two types. The table captain type that was going to put an end to your nonsense and just like look you up really light.
Yeah.
And then the other type that was just going to like massively overfold and try to find better spots.
Wait for the nuts.
Yeah. So it was just like, I would compartmentalize my lines basically into hands that had equity, I would overbet, and hands that were like really low equity, I would just like shut down with. And when I say equity, I wasn't that particular. Like a gut shot was good
Gut
enough,
shot,
overcards were good enough, whatever. And you kind of rode the dragon a little bit because, you know, you'd catch a 9-high board and just go pot and a half all in with like king queen. And sometimes you'd run into the guy who's just going to look you up with sixes. And then other times you'd run into the guy who's going to like fold tens.
Yeah.
So, you know, you kind of like rode the variance wave, but all in all, it resulted in like very clear paths to profit back when nobody had a clue of what was going on. Now, obviously, it's very different now, but I think to your point, like it's a good thing to develop a certain sense of tolerance to, I guess, because if we're in an environment where we're playing just high enough where the stakes matter to you, but also low enough where it's not going to break you,
Yeah.
then you like I could just employ a big bet strategy the entire session and emotionally put you in a cage,
Right.
right? Because like you're gonna feel the thing is about poker that I guess people don't really recognize is that the reason why bets function is because a certain equity threshold is attributed to whatever size you choose, right? So if you choose third pot, the equity threshold to continue is very low. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20%. If you choose pot and a half, the equity threshold goes way up, and now it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 40%, right? But we don't think quantitatively like that. We think in very black and white metrics of like my hand ranks as such, right? So we just recognize that top pair breaks all thresholds no matter what size you're facing.
Right, good hand, bad hand,
Right,
basically.
within a certain level of comfort, right?
Yep.
But if I start 5x potting, there's still an equity threshold attached.
Right.
And it's still sub 50% because you're always getting laid a price on the pot, right? People don't recognize that though. They start thinking in terms of like, oh, well, versus this size, like I need a setter better to call, right? And now top pair shrivels up, and it becomes the discomfort around risk, not actually the discomfort around the math.
Right.
And I think
because
that
every
like,
pot is massive.
right. So I think these exercises are very helpful because what ends up happening is facing small bets, people play a very defaulted strategy. They don't think. They just say like, oh, small bet, equity, continue. Not recognizing that like it's going to be followed through with big bets later on. So now they take a bunch of hands that are supposed to continue for multiple streets and they shrivel up when the second big bet comes through because they haven't thought that far ahead. They think like, oh, this started with a small bet type of thing. Therefore, I'm just going to have a good price the whole way through. I'm going to realize my equity.
Yeah.
We're going to try to show this down because I play against cowards who are going to check too much. And sometimes that's true, right? But if you're against anybody competent, it's all just a setup. It's a scam to get you to the next street where your equities plummet.
Right.
And now you're facing a very large bet and you have to try to partition out.
It's a trap. You're getting trapped. It's like, oh, here's small bet. Okay, big bet.
Right. And now there's only one to come. So your equities are greatly reduced.
Yeah.
And now you have to figure out.
Maybe you pick up a straight draw.
Right.
You know.
Right. That's like the worst feeling in the world.
I'll lay you a price for that river.
That's the worst feeling in the world is when you float in the 3-bet pot where SPR is already relatively low. And you peel like the gin card. And you turn like an open-ended straight flush draw, but like you have unders.
Yeah.
And they just pot and a half all in.
And they jam on you.
Just like, fuck.
Yeah.
What did I do? Like, obviously the flop was a mistake.
Yes.
Now I have my gin card. I think another thing that like we don't examine enough, and maybe this is something I should talk about off air first because this is the first time I'm mentioning it to you guys. But when we look at like equity calculations, oftentimes we're projecting that specifically EQ, not EV. We're projecting that out over the remaining streets, right? So like when we flop a flush draw and we look at the equity necessary to continue facing whatever size we're facing, we just always say like, oh, flush draw is always going to have high enough equity, because it's close to 40%. But that's extrapolated out over 2 streets,
right?
If we know for a fact, if we can predict that the next street is going to be a high pressure bet situation, oftentimes the flush draw then, in accordance to like, I don't know if reverse implied odds is necessarily the right term. I don't think it is. But basically according to future price, right? If we could average out the cost to get to river, now all of a sudden it's a lot greater. Right. But, and I'm sure that, I haven't looked deeply enough into this. I'm sure the algorithm of solvers, think this way because they're able to look at all future iterations. So they're able to look at all the average turns and determine like where this occurs.
Right. Like there is a price where if you bet too much, the flush draws will fold.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You just bet too much, it's like, oh, like, not worth it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like as humans, we don't really think very clearly in that spectrum, right? So
you see flush draw, good hand, I can make a flush, I call.
Yeah, but really it's like you have 18% to hit that flush draw on the
Right.
So,
per street, basically.
Yeah, if you're on the turn, like to get to the river with a flush.
Yeah, and that's not saying that like, suddenly you should start folding because obviously there are a lot of things can occur on the next street. They could check, they could choose a size that's a lot smaller, whatever the case may be. But it is something that like is calculated in the solve that we don't consider in real time, which is why a lot of people will like just choose to kind of like replicate what each hand class wants to do according to the sim.
Unless you like sort of are playing against a specific opponent / whatever, where you're like, okay, if I float, I'm going to get jammed on the turn. And then you start to like effectively think about, okay, is it worth floating here? Because if I do make my hand and a flush does complete, is this person going to then give me the value of my hand, or are they going to check fold? Because if I brick, they're just going to pile it on me anyways, and I can't continue. But
I think this mostly applies to live, where we can kind of anticipate based off of the character we're up against,
of course,
and the sizing that they're choosing. We can pin them on a very specific class of hands.
Right, like you have a flush draw and somebody bets pot, you're like, okay, they're going to just giga bet the turn if the turn's a brick. You just tell. Like flop comes out, snap bet. Oh, okay, they're just going to bomb it again.
They're probably not going to pay you if the flush comes.
Exactly. Flush comes in, check.
I think
25 folds.
I think those are interesting spots in live where you can actually navigate the exploitative realm and say like, oh, this is a very obvious call in theory, but like I'm probably torching in practice.
At least through a call, because you never get to realize your second streak.
Correct.
Where like maybe
Yeah.
you should play a raise or fold strat.
Yeah.
Or like you just raise, get it in if you have like 2 overs and a flush draw or something.
Right.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you're gonna have to call off 2 overs and a flush draw versus a hand that's just better than
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
Where-
you just want to see 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where
I
like
think
the machine would never play a hand in that way.
Right,
Because
right.
it's like I need to protect my range. I need to have flushes on every sort of iteration of runouts. But in certain
Well,
situations,
the thing is of why you want to deviate from what the machine would do is because you're deviating with the rest of your hands as well.
Yeah.
When you face that pot size bet, like second pair isn't a good hand anymore.
no, you just fold now.
Right, you're often just going to fold. Even like some top pairs, like
Right,
you know,
some
there are just instances
yeah.
where it's very clear on a 9 high board.
Your hand no good.
Your hand's no good based off the action that took place and the character that you're up against.
Yeah,
it's
see,
like
that's snap
I
pot.
wasn't calling 10-9 suited to try to hit a pair versus
Right.
kings.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not trying to spike 2 pair. I'm trying to make trips plus.
Yeah, I was
Trying to
trying
flop
to
it
just like
straight.
outflop kings in a way where either they give me all their money,
Right.
or play passively enough that I get to over realize with
Right.
this suited connector.
I'm not trying to flop 10-6-4. I'm trying to flop 10-9 deuce.
Yeah,
It's kind of
exactly.
what yeah.
Right. Yeah, there are little elements of bingo.
There's a lot of elements of bingo because like when you know you're playing against a guy who has like a pretty nutty range, but like they three bet kind of too small. It's like, well, I have a good price. Like let's just hope to beat kings. Or like let's hope an ace comes on the flop and they check, and now you can like win the hand in a different way than you were intending to. But that's live poker.
We're giving away too much, man.
That's
If
no
you guys want
limit.
to know
Patreon.
more about how to navigate these live streets, check out the Academy. We still have 4 seats remaining for September 8th through the 11th, all sold out for August. If you guys are interested in learning more, this is a Poker Out Loud style Academy. Head over to academy.solveforwhy.io. Again, 4 days, 2 days of gameplay where you'll be playing Poker Out Loud style with noise canceling headphones, basically explaining to us in real time why you're doing what it is you're doing.
I say all this stuff and I'm still rocketing off threes.
Can't help himself.
Listen, man, some things are just empirically good or like bad from a theoretical sense, and it's hard to take away the crux at what made me good at poker. You know?
Yeah, I get that.
So it's not, at least in an online environment, like in a live setting where like you can look at someone and it's like, whoa, like, okay, this isn't going to work here because they called a big bet where it's only good hands.
I think poker study is very similar to like a business in a sense where if you have a business plan in place
Yeah.
and you execute on it,
Uh-huh.
then you have a certain expectation and results, right?
Right.
But oftentimes those business plans are only fleshed out to a certain degree of scale,
Uh-huh.
right? So then you get to this plateau point where it's like, okay, well, I would still like my business to grow,
Yeah.
and I need to figure out what's going to have the greatest returns. Is it going to be developing another vertical path moving forward in the thing that I've already proven to be good at?
Yeah.
Or is it moving laterally into some ancillary spaces that could potentially bring greater revenue return or greater revenue return with lesser work, right?
Right.
And I think poker strategy is very much the same. It's like you are incredibly theoretical by nature. There aren't, you know more spots. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you're confident in more spots
Yeah.
than the average person.
Yeah.
And even though there's infinite more to uncover,
Yeah.
it seems to have like some level of diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
So the question then becomes like, do you continue down that path and become the most theoretical player who's literally on self-discovery all the time and like trying to uncover nodes that nobody's looked at, et cetera, et cetera? Or do you move laterally into some of the other soft skills
Right.
that could potentially have a greater return,
Yeah.
such as being able to recognize in real time that this ain't it.
Right.
Like this isn't the spot to do it. This
Yeah.
guy's telling me what his hand is,
Yeah.
and I should just play accordingly.
Right. Finding out the will you get the results you want kind of game versus what is the black and white good poker sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not easy because when you look at a game such as poker where, you know what it is? It's just like, it's kind of a cop-out, sort of. Like, theory can kind of be a cop-out in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. It's like, you know the answer in theory. It's like, oh, in theory, it pure jam, so you do it. And in theory, it's good, but, like, in practice, it might not be good. But then you can, like, kind of cope yourself to the bank of not having enough dollars
Yeah.
because you're busy trying to run off bluffs where they just won't work. But it's hard to know with a confidence degree because it's a math game. There's pot odds
it's easier
involved.
to lean on a certainty
Yeah.
than sort of like trust yourself in the moment and take in all the information that you can be. It's easier to just like lean on the thing that you feel most certain about.
Yeah.
Well, it's also good to have positive feedback loops, and theory acts as that.
Yeah.
right? Because like your results are going to vary based off of sheer variance.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you can double check against the quote unquote answers in the back of the book, and it confirms like you did nothing wrong, well, then you get to give yourself a pat on the back
Yeah.
and say like, hey, I'm a little less rich today, but
My ideas
I'm a
are
little
correct.
smarter. Yeah.
Like well, it's true because after running the spot, like I learned something just from like when it comes to which threes you use, because it's not all threes, because some threes are better than others, but you learn something, and that's nice, but you also pay a lot of money to learn something sometimes. But
It can be pricey.
poker's hard, man. And it's hard because sometimes like you think that you're going to get called and you're like, oh, I'm going to run this spot, I'm going to jam, but no, he has it. And then you check back and he has a hand that was like an auto fold.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
God, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Why did I not run this hand? Like,
Yeah.
why did I not just run it? And it's like, well, you had information that said on a confidence degree that it's not going to work. But even though that's the case, sometimes it does. So it's a hard in between of how much is this going to work? How much do I want it to work? And where do I fall in between? And it's a lot of mental anguish, but the machine lets you have copium. You know, the machine lets you be like, oh, this hand bluffs it off 30% of the time. You did it pure? Sure. It's losing a little bit, but it's a bluff.
I don't like that you youngins don't sit up at night, wide awake, laying in bed, dreaming of ace king and how you could play it differently. Like, I don't like the fact that you guys get this copium. Lamanna and I used to just sit and run hands through our head forever.
Wow, you use your
Why did I
brains,
do
yeah.
that?
Well, we literally had to examine all of the potential different ways that it could have played out.
Oh, like could I call here? Could I
Yeah,
not
I
3
still
bet,
do
call
that.
4 bet?
yeah, just
Should I
like
bet bigger? Should
like
I?
literally
Yeah.
examining all the different options that were on the table compared to the ones that we chose.
Yeah.
And trying to get to could the result have been different? Right?
Yeah.
And the more often we got yeses, the more often we were just like, okay, maybe we make a strategy adjustment, like on the aggregate.
Yeah.
And that was our version of the machine. It was never precise. It was never even remotely accurate. And it never actually gave us the copium that we were looking for.
Yeah.
You just get to sleep easy.
No, I
You spend
don't.
3
You thought I
seconds
slept
looking at an
easy?
output and you go,
No.
yep, I was right. Good night.
No. Every time these things happen, I think to myself, oh, look, here it is again. Another failed shot take, even though shot take was like a buy-in and a half or whatever. It doesn't feel good to fucking lose. It feels fucking terrible, man. You sit there and you think, did I have to run it with threes? Like, should I have mixed for it? Should I not have mixed for it? It's like, who really knows? Because if it works out, like money dance, money everywhere, no problems. And that's kind of the nature of gambling in itself. And like why poker, there's gambling and there's smart stuff when it comes to theory and like having edge. But that also doesn't mean you get to win. You don't just get to win because you know things.
Hey, you want to be rich or you want to be right?
Yeah, exactly. And currently I'm fighting the battle of being right, but being right is a very, very poor man's task at the moment.
Everyone I know that's rich is not right. None of them.
Fuck, man.
Everyone that I know is rich studies like 4 hours a year and just like grinds.
They just fucking show up and they win.
They just show up every day, day in and day out. They beat these poor recreationals over the head with a baseball bat,
Yeah.
and then they cash their check for 7
I
figures.
see a lot of those in cash.
Yeah. It's even worse than tournaments, for sure.
What's it all for, man?
If we spent a year, or if we at the end of the year dissected all of the winners of MTTs in buy-ins 10K and below
Yeah.
in the United States for the year, and what the like average ROI was of the winners, you would see Landon cry. He would cry.
Of ROI winners? And
Well, it would be a large collection of people that you don't feel are very quote unquote studied that are making ROIs in the triple to quadruple digits.
studying might just be a lie.
So come to solve for why.
And I'm not happy about it. I'm really not.
Well, it's not that studying's the lie.
No.
It's the methodology.
Implementation of said study is a lie.
Well, it's the methodology. When you study things that are very challenging to implement and are prefaced with parameters that are theoretical in nature, then all of a sudden they aren't that easy to execute.
It's true, because once you like sort of tighten up a range even by a little bit, the model gets very, very particular as to the way it continues. So
Yeah.
as soon as you start making very slight tweaks, but it works both ways. Because if people start folding the zero EV combos, over bluffing prints. If people start calling too much, over bluffing gets absolutely torched. right? So it's very difficult to be like, oh, this doesn't make sense. This
Well, what makes it
doesn't
more
win.
difficult is that those two things can coincide with each other throughout the course of a hand.
Right, they overfold one street, so they're tighter on another street, which
Correct.
means when they call too much, when they call, they're always calling.
Correct. You can
calling
literally
it too
find
high.
yourself in a scenario where like an overfold occurs on flop or turn, and now an overcall is occurring either on turn or river.
Or flop
Yep.
and turn. Where like they
Right.
overfold flop and they're tight, and then they're scared on the turn because you bet big, and they're always going to call if they continue because they feel like if they call the turn, they have to call the river, so they call, but so they fold.
Well,
the
they
hands
feel that
are
way because of the
different.
way they build their range.
Exactly. So
They
it
do
feels-
call with
yeah.
hands on the turn that have to call river, and
Right.
only hands that have to call river.
because all of those hands are good as fuck.
That's why a lot of times like you'll see these massive hero folds occurring on river.
Yeah.
Because though we recognize it's what top of range should be, it's actually the bottom of the range that gets there.
Right, and it's like, of course you have to jam this hand. This is the best hand you have. But at the same time, the best hand you have is performing terribly versus the best hand they continue with for multiple streets.
Yeah.
But that just leads everyone to being a sick fucking nit, man. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm over it. I'm broken. I'm a broken man.
So speaking of hopium,
Yep.
or actually speaking of done, apparently, I don't know a lot about chess, but apparently Magnus Carlsen is not defending his world championship this year.
The man wants a break.
No,
Well,
he's coming
I don't know
poker.
if it's a break or not. So in the article, it said that he said earlier in 2022 that if a certain opponent didn't win, like if that wasn't who he was going to compete against, then he wasn't playing. I don't know enough about the inner workings of chess to know like why that is relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem like maybe he's just over it.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's been doing this for quite some time.
Gonna go out on top.
No, I saw a fellow Norwegian win the WSOP main event. And
I think
he's
that
like,
might
"Yo,
be. I think Conrad's onto something.
I know where I'm going now. He's
I'm
like,
here
this
to
guy
start-
won 10 million. I've been playing chess for 40 years, beating everybody's fucking ass, and I won $13.99. So I'm gonna go play the WSOP main event.
I think I'm
play
here
the
to
main.
start the rumors. I think the transition is in place.
Yeah.
It's not a rumor. It's
It's a Conrad. It's
Okay,
a
that's
CSA.
a
it's a CSA.
It's a Conrad service announcement.
Right. Okay, here we go. I do think that he likes poker. I think
Yeah.
that there's an allure there. He was
Yeah.
here for the series.
Got a little degen in him.
Yeah. It seems like he might have a little gamble to him. He's obviously a super sharp guy. Do you think he's out grinding Sims right now?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you think
either.
that he is partnering with Google AI right now to develop what was the chess engine Google did?
AlphaZero.
AlphaZero, yeah. Do you think he is working right now with them to develop Alpha Magnus?
Yeah.
He might be. Yeah.
Alpha Magnus is in.
Well, I mean, he was
Production.
in that WPT game, and he sees how much money people are throwing around.
Splashing.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I was
Splash.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Studying
wouldn't
chess.
blame him. There's not that much money being splashed around in chess.
There's not.
Yeah. He's just looking around. He's like, wow, if I was like
Man.
really good at this game, I could make a lot
Right,
of
exactly.
money.
He's
And
like,
he's
if I
like, and
wanna-
you know
A
what I'm
lot.
really good at? Getting good at games.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Man,
know where
I-
he makes
can't
money
be that
playing
hard.
chess? Washington Square Park. Playing
Oh,
against
yeah,
the
those
old guys.
guys.
He's fucking knocking on that chess clock.
Man, I remember the first time I did a like poker coaching type of stream with Nemo, who does like Twitch streaming and stuff for chess. And she told me, she said, I've won more money in poker than chess. And I go, okay, that must mean that you've played poker a decent bit because you're a woman grandmaster in chess. So the first coaching thing involved Pile Solver. I was like, oh, here's an engine. Here's how Pile Solver works. And that did not go well. We went from Pile Solver to hand rankings. There's just no money in chess. There's just no money in chess.
Yeah.
I was like,
Jamie says Magnus was grinding the Sims till he heard your rant.
Landon's actually sent him right back to chess. There's going to be an announcement later today that Magnus Carlsen is actually competing in the World Championships
you
next
can't
year.
take it. You heard some idiot with a yellow shirt talk about Sims. He's done.
And how they don't work.
Yeah.
They had all died.
It's all a lie.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it is.
Well, a sport where you do get paid handsomely, baseball.
You do. That's
Which-
what-
It's so much money.
So this is weird. They actually just had an arbitration meeting yesterday or the day before, and Paul Manafort, the commissioner, came out and said that he fundamentally denies that minor league baseball players are not paid a livable wage. And this is a weird hill to die on, because for those people who don't know the economics of baseball and how it works, if you're a high draft pick, you sign a bonus.
Yeah, you get more money.
So like, first rounders, maybe up until like 5th or 6th rounders will sign some sort of signing bonus.
Yeah.
Big difference. Like the guy who goes number 1, he's going to sign a 7-figure bonus. The guy who goes in the 5th round is going to get like 30, 40K.
If that.
It just depends, right?
Yeah.
It depends on your round. It depends on your age, things of that nature. Like I think Jeter was, I could be wrong.
Jeter's like, it's funny because the captain just came out, first episode on ESPN.
I'm so excited to watch that.
And
I
he
hate
was
the
ta-
Yankees, but man, I love.
it was so
love Jeter.
I watched the first episode. It was so
He's the
good. I
goat.
recommend
He
it to
was
everybody.
the first like baseball player that I was like, he's hot.
Yeah.
When I was like 8.
Just like every girl.
Yeah, because my mom was like Jeter, and she got me a little like Jeter shirt, and I was like, I'm gonna marry him.
He really had his pick.
So
of
he
the litter.
struggled.
So
He
hot.
struggled when he first entered the minors after he got drafted, like that first year.
Well, he
Like,
also
I
got
didn't-
drafted right out of high school.
Yeah. But yeah, he was super young, 18. And he mentions in the first episode how like you were talking how I'm sure he got a decent bonus because he was a high draft pick. And he's telling his parents, like, and this is such a Jeter thing. He's like, can I give the money back? Yeah. He's just like, can I give the money back? Like, I'm not performing like I'm supposed to be performing. And his dad's like, no, you're not giving the money back.
It was $800,000
Wow.
his signing bonus.
Yeah. See, that's good. Yeah, I think he was like a low first round draft.
And that was
pick.
like 1993 or something like that.
90.
So
maybe even.
Oh wait, when he got drafted.
yeah, it was like 1993.
yeah,
I
something
think.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I've done what I
What?
felt was below snuff type of jobs where I've offered to take less. I think it's responsible. Obviously, it's very different for baseball players. But anyway, the minor leagues, baseball as a whole, I think baseball as a whole employs more professional athletes than all other American sports combined.
For sure.
Like
It has
throughout
to be.
all the
So
minor
many
leagues.
people in the system.
Yeah, there's like 40-man rosters throughout like 5 or 6
different leagues.
divisions up until the pros. And then you have 40-man rosters there. So it's still obviously incredibly difficult. I think like less than 1% of total baseball players, like nationwide, I think it's like less than 1% actually make it to being paid. But again, the volume is still relatively high. So there's a huge discrepancy between an early draft pick and what they're paid and a guy who's just sitting on a single A squad that was signed as a free agent. It's a hard life, a hard grind. And most of those guys don't ever make it to a real wage. So it is kind of weird. It's a weird thing to see because the ceiling is so insanely high in Major League Baseball. Juan Soto just turned down a 15-year,
$440 million.
Yeah.
Here's
What
$440
does
million.
this man think he's gonna get paid?
More.
More?
The Dodgers are going to pay him
or the same amount for
for
less
10 years.
We're,
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna try to trade for him for sure. The Yankees.
I don't think so.
That's so much
they will.
money.
We haven't,
mean,
Definitely try to
we
trade
haven't
for him.
signed Judge yet, and if
Or Stanton.
but no, Stanton's locked up till he's gone. We're not re-signing Stanton ever. Judge is probably not getting re-signed over the summer. He's going to be hitting free agency. So if we can trade for Juan Soto and give him a contract since he's 7 years younger, if not more, that's going to be a big
Than Judge?
possibility.
No.
Yeah.
Is this
Judge
GM
is
Con-
young.
Judge is my age. Judge is like 32. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this GM Conrad right now?
Are you sure?
Is this GM
Yes.
Conrad?
100% sure.
Grandmaster Conrad.
General manager.
How long has
General
Judge been in the
manager.
league? 5 years?
Judge
Grandmaster.
age. I just looked this up the other day.
He's been in the league like 5 years, right?
He's 30 years old, sorry. And Juan Soto is
26 or 27 maybe?
I think he's
younger.
23.
Oh,
No, he
he's
can't be. He's
young.
on his first contract.
He's pretty
He's
young.
super young.
I thought he
He
was
came in
pretty
the league at 18, I think.
Yeah, he's
Soto
super young. He
age.
came in like 19 or 20.
Juan Soto is 23 years old.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So if we can get him and unfortunately part with Judge, that's definitely something that we would think about doing.
We being GM. Conrad speaking for the Yankees
We.
organization
Yeah,
right now.
I'm speaking- You want to see it? Look,
He
right
says
here.
we.
It's not even
Conrad
close.
Steinbrenner over
It's
here.
the-
I would imagine
and
that
the we.
the Dodgers probably have a leg up on just about everybody.
Oh, man.
They're
this-
just willing to spend infinite. Like
They already spent infinite. If you look at their roster and who's getting paid, it's insane.
Well,
Well,
that's
same
not how
with the
Infinite
Yankees.
works. Infinite is all the money.
that's the thing with Major League Baseball. There's just no cap. There is just no cap, and they have that multi-billion-dollar deal with the TV networks that like just give them a lot of money. So of course, like they'll have to pay a luxury tax on it, but
Yeah.
they got Mookie locked up. You add a guy like Soto, it's just like who's going to compete?
How do you have so much money?
There's so many more in between
Why
in the
didn't
middle.
I become
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Like,
Well, their pitching staff is sick too. Although they are starting to get a little bit older, right? Like I still recognize all the names on their staff, which makes me think that they're all pushing 30, 33, 34. Whereas like the Padres seem to have gone a little bit younger. The Padres are fucking sick too. When did they start spending? Like 2 years ago.
A couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Well, they just when they got
Machado.
yeah. Once that happened, they just tried.
They
to
also
get
got Ian Snell, who's like
They tried to trade for as many pieces as they could and lock
Joe
up some
Musgrove.
people. They have to
Yeah.
do something to fucking compete with the Dodgers.
yeah, the West is nasty.
That's hard.
The NL West is very competitive. More so the Diamondbacks have just like totally empty. I don't know why. I knew that Goldschmidt got traded to or sent to the Cardinals, whatever, a year or two ago. But when I saw him in the All Star game yesterday hitting that home run, it didn't register to me.
Yeah.
Because he's just a Diamondback. The last time I paid close attention, like he was just the guy for the backs.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
I'm just
kinda-
like,
Sorry, it's kind of wild that the Padres have the 5th most biggest payroll in the league.
Yeah.
you thought it'd be higher?
I thought they would be lower.
Well, it had been for decades.
Yeah, it's just it's a small city kind of like. Too.
Still California.
It's a California city,
Yeah.
but like the Dodgers are 260, Mets are 260, Yankees 250.
Where
Phillies
are the
233.
Pirates?
Oh, hold on.
Scroll
all the way down. 27 at $68 million.
It's a joke.
60.
That is the
Wait, there's
joke.
actually 3 teams that have the A's for sure.
The
have to be
A's are
less.
48 and the Orioles are 45.
There you
now.
go. Yeah.
I think is there
It's a joke.
what's the probability the A's land in Las Vegas? It has to
No,
be
it's
high,
not.
right?
They just signed a 20-year contract with the city to re-up their staying.
That had to come with building a new stadium.
Yeah, it happened within. I think it did. It happened within the last 2 weeks. I want to say.
That's wild, man.
I was
A's
hoping
stadium.
that they were. I was really hoping that.
Yeah, I thought that they had to be a really high. Yeah, nothing would make me happier than bringing another minor league squad to a city that I live in.
No, why? Because you could have been
Cheer for
playing
the
for
two
them?
worst fucking teams in all of MLB.
Well, they're changing the schedule around now, so every team plays every team every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think next year it's going to start. So that means if we did have a team, then probably every other year the Pirates would be in town.
Looking
Yeah.
at,
That'd be really cool to go to.
I'm just looking at all the teams.
It's all
and
about the
like,
Pirates.
Well, yeah, of course.
Nobody's coming here. Like I think that was the Oakland A's was the only. Home.
No, they were talking about the D-backs and Angels pretty strongly.
Oh, Angels would make a lot of sense.
Angels do make a lot of sense, sort of.
Yeah.
They're a very big market.
Yes. But
So Vegas, I think, could be a big market
That would
city.
be awesome. Go see Trouton.
It's
Oh
kinda
my God, it'd be
crazy.
so
every
sick.
day.
How insane would that be for the Angels to up and move whenever they have like 2 major superstars on the team in
Right.
Ohtani and
Yeah.
Trout?
biggest in baseball.
Yeah.
They literally have the 2 biggest stars in baseball.
Speaking of, okay, let's talk about this.
Oh,
So
God.
Tony leads off the All-Star game last night with a single. By the way, this guy, for anybody who doesn't know, doesn't follow baseball closely, he's a Japanese superstar. He DHs for the Angels and is either their number 1 or number 2
Pitcher.
starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And
Number
he's
1.
filthy.
It's the modern day Babe Ruth.
Love it. I think there
Yeah.
should be so much more of this, and I understand why they lean into specialization because, again, you just have so many people to choose from. You'll almost certainly find one person who's good at an individual thing better than somebody who's all around good at This guy's so fucking impressive, though.
Yeah.
He hits the ball a mile. He's nasty on the bump. Like, God bless him. I hope he has a very long career. Starts the game off with a single off Kershaw, okay? Then I don't know. I don't know. I think he hits middle of the order for the Angels. They had him leading off. I don't know what his speed is
I'm
like.
pretty sure he's number 1 on the Angels.
He leads off?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would be a little bit surprised, but fine. I don't know what his speed is like, but this pickoff move by Kershaw is one of the most embarrassing pickoff moves I've ever seen a lefty make. And that's coming from somebody who spent the majority of his college career desperately trying to develop the craft of picking people off because I walked so many goddamn people. So I get it, man.
I walk you. I'm going to get you somehow.
Right, I got to get you somehow. Let's run that back one more time, Guapo. Like, this move, this is a pitcher getting picked off is exactly what we're witnessing here.
Tanya Bohr with a leadoff hit. Kershaw to Judge.
He leans into it!
Wow.
He just, like, straight leans to first base. Like, everyone in the stadium knows it's coming, man. He didn't even try.
And he still gets it.
Tony had a 3-step lead. Where was he going?
He must have just been leaning. He just caught him leaning at the right exact time.
Absolutely unacceptable. Embarrassing. Might be the first time Kershaw picked anybody off all season. That move is beyond trash.
Listen, man, it's the All-Star game. He doesn't care. Tony's probably chatting it up with the first baseman.
Yeah. Seriously.
He's like, oh, wait, he's throwing over your shit.
So we call those show me moves, right?
Yeah.
Like they're the ones where it's just like you literally just step towards them and show like I have a bad move.
I will throw, yeah.
Yeah, and then you try to get like I don't think Kershaw probably I don't watch him closely enough, but I doubt that he has a good move for a few reasons. One, when he comes set, his feet are very narrow, so they're very close together, and that doesn't give you a lot of room because if your feet cross the plane of your back leg, it's a balk. So you can't do that. So like my move, I came set relatively wide apart, and I never crossed my foot to my back leg ever. I came at a 45-degree angle where my knee crossed my back leg, but not my foot. And what it allowed me to do was develop a pickoff move off of it, where as my knee would cross my back leg, I would come towards first base. But the whole key to it was keeping your upper body still. So you had to come set, and as you were about to go to the plate or whatever, you look at first and you don't turn your shoulder. That was the key to it, right? You keep your shoulder still and then you flip. And it worked. It was nasty when it was good, right? I don't think Kershaw has that because he has that big, long set position, comes tight and then he has a big leg kick.
Yeah.
Whatever. So you give him the show me move. You don't ever expect to get anybody.
And then you get him.
You just want to keep him close to the bag.
Yeah.
Guys, Ohtani, DePaulo just filled me in. He said Ohtani did that out of respect. It's a Japanese apologies for getting a hit.
Listen, can you confirm the Japanese culture?
Sleeping while we're talking about baseball.
What?
You just woke up.
Can you confirm that in the Japanese culture, if you lead the game off with a hit, you fall on the sword and get picked off at first base as a sign of honor?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. Our
I
resident.
don't know what any of that means, but yeah, yes.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, man.
By the way, Ohtani did lead for some of the season, but it looks like he's 2 or 3 hitters.
Yeah, I would have expected him to be in the middle of the order. He is such good bat control. Like you just want him in that 2-3 slot, especially with Trout, who I'm sure is hitting 3 or 4.
They also have Rendon.
Right. But he's a 5 guy.
Could you imagine them coming to Vegas? That'd be so cool. Like the Diamondbacks, I don't think have it. Like I think they're
also, we don't give a fuck if the Diamondbacks. Like this is the thing. You bring the D-backs or the A's here, you just get a minor league squad that's slightly better than watching
it's
the
only
fucking
a matter of
AAA
time
team
till they
here.
spend money though. Once you come to Vegas, you get money, you spend money.
True.
So like when it comes down
Maybe.
to it, I think it would rise the Diamondbacks
I wonder
a lot.
I wonder if their costs would go down by being here as opposed to California enough where they could reinvest that then into.
Well, hold on. We're talking about Diamondbacks.
Oh right, yeah.
So, but also another thing I just saw. Did you guys know that the fucking Raiders were the top? How do you call that? Income had the top income in the league and like the third to last attendance. So top revenue in the league and the third to last attendance in the league.
Just through merch?
Just through like seats and stuff and like food, like they just charge the most.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I can see
pretty
that.
wild.
Well, yeah, probably the first
Also,
whole year. Like
also the first 5 years or so, they sell those VIP boxes for
They were
like infinite to
super
corporations.
expensive.
So
Yeah.
it did not include any luxury seats.
Really?
Really?
Yep, it was so wild. It's such a wild stat. I was sitting there looking at it. And,
The Steelers were always at the top of that list when it came to selling merch.
merch. Yeah, that makes
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
they
sense.
really gouge in the stadium that much, but them and the Cowboys are always like, and the Green Bay Packers are always like 3 of the top merch sellers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the tickets for Raiders games are like stupid expensive.
They're
Yeah,
very
they have to be.
expensive.
Like,
Well,
probably start to come down, but like
Yeah. Also,
the first year they're just going to be crazy.
yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
There was something else tied to that, but I completely forgot. Anyway,
Well, while he's thinking, I'll wrap up this All-Star discussion. I haven't watched in a while. This was the first time I didn't watch the whole game, but I tuned in to bits and pieces. It's the first time I've watched in a while, and 2 things caught me by surprise. One, I still knew almost all the All-Stars, which was very shocking to me because I admittedly like have not followed baseball
You know
closely
who the
since
Pirates
like
All-Star was?
2018. Well, yeah, only because I saw the video.
wait, I'm pretty sure this is all voted in by fans. That's why.
No,
It's not?
The starters are voted by fans, and then the rest are selected.
So the stars.
It's always been that case.
So the stars is going to be the same forever.
To a certain degree, I think Pujols was the only like
Not
All
supposed
Star
to.
who didn't deserve it. That was kind of an homage to his career. He's retiring after the season type of thing. Which also he was in the the Home Run Derby, which was really cool. I think
That was awesome to watch.
I think they should do that more. Like the Home Run Derby lost a lot of its luster.
It's funny because I was watching it and I was thinking, I was like, man, it's not the same as when like we were kids and watching this, is right? And then like by the end, I'm like glued to the TV, like what's gonna happen? Like, is he
Yeah,
gonna
but it was
win?
kind of because Pujols went to the finals.
Not the finals,
Or
the
the
semifinals.
semifinals, yeah.
Right. I was like, that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's a lot because the guys that we want to see there don't participate. Like Bryce Harper doesn't do it. Trout doesn't really do it. I'm trying to think of like some of the other guys. Like Stanton wasn't in it. You know, look, when we were watching it was Bonds, Griffey, Canseco.
Everybody on
So
steroids. Fucking
Whatever.
great.
I mean, whatever, man. It was a fucking show.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
that guy had a gas station.
Who?
Jose Canseco.
He has a gas station?
Yeah, in Vegas.
No
It was
way.
a car wash. It's
Oh,
almost a
okay.
car
It
wash.
was like
No big
486
gas
for gas.
I played
And was
softball with him.
just-
Yeah, he has
He's
like
a psychopath.
He has a gas. How do you have a gas station?
I mean, you just find ways to invest, man. I wish I would have invested in a little bit more sporadic. Think about owning a gas station right now. What are those margins?
imagine
like?
No, they
investing-
don't. They don't. They don't.
Imagine
make much
investing in
Yeah.
kids with yellow shirts talking about bluffing off threes instead
Yeah,
of a gas
that's
station.
where
Anybody,
I put all my fucking money.
anybody who owns
Yeah.
a gas station makes all their money off
Slots.
of slots. If
Yo,
you,
that
if you
shit
can
is
get that,
crazy.
if you can get that, or like like the convenience store, they don't make money. Like the margins off the gas is so.
Well, the gas
small.
gets people in the door. It's a necessity.
Yeah,
And
right.
you just crush it with the margins on everything else.
Right.
Luck
exactly.
gets you through the door. You got to come in through
Yeah.
the window.
Right.
Jamie's on fire
They
today.
also in Nevada they also sell alcohol, which I'm sure is
Yeah.
a big revenue boost for them.
But yeah, I think the Home Run Derby would be cool if they started to include like recently retired stars.
Oh, you just like have like a bunch of
Wow.
fun people kind of do
Like
it.
I think it would be because you don't just stop being able to hit home runs when you're 40. You just can't do it off major league pitching anymore.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
T-Mobile home
okay,
run.
maybe like Bonds and Griffey are too old, but that next era isn't. We could start looking to like I don't know, man, who retired in like
Jeter.
Ryan
Brian
Howard.
Giles.
Bring Jeter back.
Well, Jeter's not a home run hitter though.
hit like
But, like,
20 home
A-Rod.
runs his whole life.
A-Rod, Brian Giles.
I hate A-Rod so fucking much though. But yeah,
Brian
like,
who?
Brian
A-Rod.
Giles. See, but Brian Giles is so underrated, man. Just because he played for the
He's
Pirates.
obviously from Pittsburgh.
he played for
He
he only played for
good.
the Pirates and Padres, so nobody has any fucking clue who he
Right,
is.
I
exactly.
know who
But
he
was
is.
so
but it's
good.
like who?
Yeah.
His brother was a lesser version of him. He played for the Braves. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's like because I think you need to draw back in the guys that are my age,
Yeah.
right? And the only way to do that is through nostalgia. And also, I think you need to bring in kids more. Like baseball's really lost the youth, and the way to do that is to really promote the young superstars that are coming
Yeah,
up.
like put O'Neal Cruz in there, another Pirate.
Wait, he didn't make it?
No, it's his first year up. He's hitting like 200.
Right. Yeah.
not an
I mean,
all-star.
he's only been in the league for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But like it'd have been cool just because he just kills the ball. Like he hits it like 115 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Exit velocity.
Like Ichiro
just,
never being in
just
the-
a guy like that in there who's just gonna put on a show.
Ichiro never being in the Derby was a huge mistake.
Wait,
like
why?
this guy,
He's another
bro,
one that's only hit like 17 home runs a year. He's another
It was a
Jeter.
choice. It was a choice, man. People used to show up in droves to watch this guy take BP.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's a fucking hitter. He's
No.
The best.
No,
hitter.
I mean like Ichiro could do
Has the
whatever
power,
the
but
fuck he wanted.
His approach at the
He
he
plate.
could have pitched. He could have been a power hitter if he wanted to.
He said, "I want to hit 3,000. I want to get 3,000 hits," and he did.
Yeah, he's like, I want to hit 3,000, or I want to have 3,000 hits, and I want to steal like X amount of bases. I want to be that guy. I want to be a prototypical number 2
He is
hitter.
that guy, pal.
And he just chose to do that. But like, I'm telling you, man, fans used to show up hours before game time, especially when they were on the road, to watch Ichiro take BP. This guy hit fucking moonshots, man.
Wow.
I wonder if Otani's fucking role model in baseball was Ichiro.
Has to be.
Yeah, it just has to be.
Has
right?
to be.
Like he just swings
Like imagine the
bat.
way we idolize American players, and like Ichiro is the Japanese player.
Yeah, for sure.
To have like not just to have made it, but like solidified himself as a first ballot
look,
Hall
we
of
got
Fame
some,
guy.
We got some Ichiro
footage.
BP up right now.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy just absolutely dropped bombs. He's
He
not
was-
even trying.
He was such a better player when he came to the Yankees.
I forgot that he was a Yankee.
Those were all 500.
That's the only
yard-
reason
you
I
couldn't
knew
see
the
if
name
those were all
because he
500.
was on the Yankees.
Man, The Mariners really did have a little window where like they had the most beloved players in baseball.
Felix Hernandez, Ken Griffey Jr.,
Ichiro, Edgar Martinez.
I liked Corey Seager. Is his
Nobody
name, I
knows
think?
who that is.
Corey Seager, yeah.
Yeah, he played shortstop for them, I think, or
Then he
second
went.
base.
Then he go to Dodgers.
Like everybody else.
Yeah. The second that the Mariners became hateable was when they signed what's his face off the Yankees to like a 15-year deal.
Oh,
Cano, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like he was already on the back end.
And then he went straight to the Mets.
Yeah. He lasted like 3 or 4 seasons before he was just worthless.
Well, now they got that young kid that was in the home run derby. Is it Rodriguez?
Oh, yeah. Is that his name? I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
For Mariners, but he was just hitting balls.
They're like the Pirates, though. They always have a prospect. They always have a young prospect who looks nasty, and they always finish like 30 games below 500.
Yeah.
Can't
Kyle
compete.
Seager. Okay.
Anyway, the second thing that really shocked me watching the All Star game, outside of like knowing everybody, and I don't know why this surprised me, but I guess I just haven't been paying close attention to baseball in a while, is that it's clear the game has changed to a point where it's just power on power. Everyone's blowing 101, like literally starter to closer. Everyone who threw yesterday was in the triple digits. I mean, every single inning, I'm watching a guy top out at 99, 100, 101. And the only offense that's being generated is home runs. 5 runs were scored, 4 came off of home runs. And Giancarlo just hit a ball into the atmosphere that has yet to land. I mean, he shits on this ball.
That's what he does a lot.
You know, it's a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that he just hits 500 feet.
That's
He's
perfect.
a Yankee. That's what Yankees do, man.
Yeah.
I can't with you.
That ball is hammered to left
was the last
center
time the
field.
Pirate-
Goodbye.
Two
Two-run shot.
Is there
Tie
always
game.
somebody from each team in
Yeah.
the
Right
All
up to
Star
where
game?
he
Yeah,
used to
every
sit
team
as a
always
kid
does.
coming to
Each
games
team
here
gets
at
one.
Dodger Stadium.
So if
Watch
there
this,
wasn't,
hands and then gone. That
when was
quick.
the last time you think
And you
the
see the
Pirates
barrel of the bat
deserved to be in the
stays in the
All-Star
zone the
game if it
entire
wasn't
time.
like that?
And when you make a mistake as
Oh,
a
I
pitcher,
mean, last year for
that's
sure
what
with
the great hitters
Brian
of
Reynolds.
our
He started.
generation
Do you
He was a
remember?
starter in
This
the
generation.
Yeah, I was surprised
He had a
Brian
really
Reynolds
good
wasn't
year.
selected. Do you remember how big of a deal it was back when we were younger with Ken Griffey Jr.'s bat speed and exit velocity? He was a big deal because he was hitting like 105. Like the exit velocity was like
I don't even
105.
know they tracked exit velocity back then.
I think they did.
Maybe.
Look at this.
I really
look at what he did to that ball.
He made it rubber.
Physics is a real bitch.
That's amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I recall like a stat about Griffey having like the fastest hands or something like that. And
His bat speed and that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
and the ball
yeah.
came out like triple digits compared to coming in at like double digits or whatever. That exit velocity was 111 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the bat speeds? What do they look like today? I mean, these guys are so big and so strong.
So strong.
But the thing is, they're fucking when they're not hitting home runs, they're all striking out.
Right.
22 strikeouts in this game.
Well, I want to say something about that. Fucking Vladdy, man.
He's nasty.
He's so
much fun to watch.
I wish he was in the home run derby.
Yeah.
Right.
He
another
was
one.
a few years ago. He was
Yeah.
a joy to watch. That was the
Yeah.
last time I watched it.
dude. His swing is just the purest thing anybody's
He's his
ever.
dad reincarnated, man. I watched a ball he hit out like 4 days ago, the last day of the season before the All Star break. He hit. They called it a bad ball home run, and this pitch was like a foot off the black on the outer half, and he pulls it down the line. Like literally a one-handed flipped his bat at it like he's trying to spoil it in a 2-strike count. And he just flips it down the line, gone. It's like, how on earth? I'm so amazed at what they're able to do now. And I do think a lot of it comes from strategy where somewhere along the lines, analytics started to get involved. And that whole adage of it's better to put the ball in play and make a productive out adage. Sorry.
It's just so funny.
No, it's a thing I'll always get wrong. But the whole adage of it's better to make a productive out than it is a strikeout kind of got disproved. Like they calculations have been made, and the EV of an
They
extra
ran
base
Sims?
hit. Yeah, they're running Sims, bro.
See, so are the Sims really wrong?
The Sims were.
In
Moneyball.
baseball, Sims are god. There's so much data to scrape.
Moneyball.
Less variance.
Best movie. A really good movie.
I don't know if there's less variance.
Well, there's wind. I
Moneyball is a
guess.
good movie.
No, it's not that. It's the actual variance takes place in the precision of ball and bat making contact. So it's like if they call it a game of inches for a reason. Like literally, if you hit the ball a hundredth of a millisecond
Right, then
earlier or later, it's the difference between an out and a home run
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Because it
You know.
goes so far.
So yeah, it's like all the precision is where the variance takes place. But I think a lot of simulations just took place where they're calculating. You can calculate so much EV, right? Like think about how many pitches are thrown in one season.
A lot.
Right? So 32 teams playing 9 innings, throwing on average 150 pitches per game over 162 games. So you're talking about
32
like
times 150
No,
times
it's 30.
9?
It's 30.
32.
or sorry, yeah, 30
teams.
But they're playing each other, so it's really 15.
30 times 150 times 160. How many games? 162?
162.
730,000 pitches.
Okay, so it's probably half that actually.
Okay, so
No. You're right, because both teams are pitching.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 300 pitches in a game.
So it's just shy of 1 million pitches thrown in a season.
750,000. This is
And,
about,
and we've been tracking data for decades.
this is about
Yeah.
the same amount of money I spotted Bill.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So like even if they just look at the last decade, 2002 to 2012 to 2022, they have roughly 7 million pitches to calculate data off of.
It's a lot.
Divide that up between off speed and fastballs. Divide that up between lefties and righties. And now all of a sudden, you start to look at the EV of an effective out like a bunt or a sac fly or trying to hit behind the runners and stuff like that, compared to utilizing a swing that will put the ball in play in the air and potentially go for extra bases.
I see why people make models now. Because if you make a model and all you have to do is like input the result.
Oh, I'm so fascinated by this. I would love to just like sit and grind out like baseball stats and model this out and like figure out what, like this has to be where the launch angle came from. It just has to be.
Yeah.
They had to have looked at enough tape and enough data to just say, stop trying to hit the ball on the fucking ground. Like we don't need Willie Mays Hayes out here.
Right.
You hit the ball in the air.
Yeah.
Just hit the ball in the air. Go try to be a gap to gap hitter. And if you fly out a bunch, who gives a shit? As long as you hit 230 with a slugging percentage in the 600s or 700s, we're gonna mash
30, 40 bombs a year. It's like you're productive.
You kind of
You
just
don't
see
need the 300. I mean,
the purists will hate
tell.
it, but like the
Yeah.
kids will attach to it because you're incentivized to go for the bomb. People want to score touchdowns, man. People want to hit home runs.
Well, that must make baseball so much more fun. Like you like look at someone, you're like, oh, this guy strikes out a lot, but he does hit home runs.
Yeah.
Like watch him hit a home run again, maybe.
But like even like the Pirates who like never hit home runs, right? They're like notorious for being like one of the
They're a
teams
tortoise
at the
team.
bottom. Yeah, at the bottom of the home run list at the end of the year are hitting like a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
right. Like they were one of the top teams in, I don't know if it was June or there was a stretch where they were like hitting more home runs than anybody, which was crazy.
Yeah, they broke a
And-
stat that you told us about a couple of weeks ago.
But like that's because that's where the game is moving to.
Well,
And
the
they
velocity-
strike out a ton.
Yeah, velocity. It's so weird too because imagine that we were hitting less home runs when the ball wasn't coming in as hard. So you would think you'd be able to square it up easier. But clearly, like entrance velocity equals exit velocity. That has to be a big byproduct of why Griffey's exit velocity may have been like 105. And
Right, because he's facing 92-mile-an-hour
Right.
fastballs instead of 98.
yeah, so the average fastball is now like 94.5 miles an hour, which is up almost 4 miles an hour from Greg Maddox's era.
Is this the same
wild.
sort of stuff that's happening like with basketball and it comes like 3-point shooting?
I think so.
Where it's like for a
Definitely.
long period of time, or at least like the whole 3-point era, where like more teams are shooting threes, taking threes, or whatever. But like deep down on like an analytical standpoint, people thought the 3-point shot might be worth too much. But after some models and calculations,
this is what Haralabob did. He modeled shots on the court. So he looked at like spray charts.
Yeah.
That's what we call them in baseball.
Sure, shot charts, whatever.
Yeah,
call it.
shot charts, like basically like hot charts, right?
yeah.
Where people were
Hot,
shooting
cool.
from. And he was able to analyze that like the highest EV shot was the corner 3 and the lowest EV shot was just inside of the 3-point line.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like whenever you're able to model and actually calculate true EV like that, you're able to then develop a strategy that you can coach. I mean, think about like
I kind of like that so much more than the old ways are so primitive, right? Like you come up with a strategy, like you try to take layups, like you try to take like the high percentage shots, but like once you have access to more information and like being able to make strategies that make more sense from like a logistical standpoint of these are empirically worth more than these.
well,
Follow it.
I understand why you like it more. It makes a lot of sense.
I love seeing that.
I'm somewhere in between. I like the idea of being able to model because it makes me feel smart. And it makes me feel
You are
like
smart, Matt.
I'm developing it makes me feel like I could develop an edge that maybe others couldn't.
You're very smart.
And that's good in strategy games. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But as somebody who like really loves the idea of a sport just being a bunch of athletes getting on a field and demonstrating their athletic prowess naturally, it kind of hurts.
Does it?
It's the same thing with poker, right?
Exactly.
It's the exact same thing with poker. It's like, I just want to get in there and like, I want to read your face and I know you don't have it, so I call.
Right.
And it's just like, that's the old, right? That's the old way. And it's just like,
I
it's,
wish I
it's
could have
raw,
played that poker.
right?
Yeah.
But like, you don't, what happens? A bunch of poker players just turn into robots, and you don't want that. Bunch of baseball players, a bunch of basketball players turning into robots.
And you have to coach them that way.
Athletic stance, right? They're like, it's a little bit different, right?
Not really.
In the sense of some people are better at not hitting home runs and getting the ball in play. Like, that's a thing. Or is it not a thing?
Well, yes, in the sense that everybody will have their, let's call it, natural ability.
Yeah.
Just like everybody in poker will have their natural
Mental
logic.
capacity,
Yeah,
logic,
they'll
whatever.
have their natural logical framework, right?
Right.
But eventually, we'll divert or we'll converge onto zero. Right?
It's effectively turning arts into sciences.
To some degree, yeah.
Right? Where it's like people
Yeah.
like poker in its purest form without the numbers and the robots, right? It's a kind of an art form. Like baseball and that stuff would still kind of be an art form of like how you pitch, how you do whatever. Because now there's different drills and things you can do to fix those, which then turns it into a science because math and logic and numbers say that these things generate
and when
more
you turn it into a science, you'll eventually converge onto zero, and that's what I mean. So it's like in poker, if you don't have the capacity to a logical framework that aligns with ultimately what the equilibrium theory strategy is, then you fall off. You die. You become a dinosaur and die. And in baseball, it's like, there are going to be people who are predisposed to having better hand-eye coordination or stronger upper body strength that allows them to lift the ball easier and get the ball.
People
whatever.
have natural talent.
Those people will rise.
Yeah.
And the people who were punch and Judy hitters before, which I know that's a term that you're not going to understand, but basically guys who are looking for holes. They're trying to hit the ball on the ground.
People that are trying to just get the ball in play.
Try to put the ball in play, hit between the second baseman and the shortstop, find the gaps, if you will. They die. Because they're not worth anything to a team.
Right. It's like your production isn't worth as much as someone that strikes out more but gets home runs because there's the points on the board.
Like when we grew up, there was a kid in the lineup that you would either always defer to having him bunt or lean into a pitch and get hit because that was the highest EV that he could offer. And it's like that guy doesn't get a roster spot anymore.
Right.
Sorry, Timmy. You're too small and you're too goddamn slow. Get out of here.
I used to love the
Go
one
play
kid.
ping pong.
I used to love the one kid that knew that was his role. And once that pitch came, rolls right into it.
That was me. That was me when I was 11. LaManna, we were on the same Little League team. When I was 11 years old, I was small still. I was chubby. I was slow. And I was still scared of the baseball. So for an entire season, I shit you not, I may have had 4 at-bats. I was a starter. I played every game, and I got 4 or 5 at-bats a game. I may have had 4 total at-bats all season where I didn't bunt. Every time I stepped into the box, Mr. George just gave me the belt. There were times where, like, when it was a fast pitcher, I was so happy to bunt because I was still, like, Gooch. When Gooch was on the mound, I was terrified of him.
Yeah, of course.
I was happy to bunt. But against like guys that were slow that I thought I could get hits off of, I would purposely bunt foul twice. Because after I had 2 strikes, he'd let me swing away, and then I'd fucking strike out because I stunk.
But you wanted to hit the ball.
It changed my entire athletic trajectory. I came back when I was 12, and I hit a small growth spurt. I grew a couple inches. I leaned out a little bit, and I led the league in home runs. I just shit on the ball for an entire season because my hand-eye was developed by getting in there, squaring up, seeing pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch.
This is kind of like your training arc.
Yeah.
This whole year was your training arc.
Right, except you know how hard it is to explain to an 11-year-old that will be the outcome?
When he tried to explain that to you?
I mean, he tried, but like I would go home in tears every
Yeah, I mean, I would
night.
cry too. Like, it's like this. Listen, for a whole year, you're going to do nothing but try to bunt this ball. But if you can't do it next year, you're going to be a fucking god.
Right.
When you're 11, you're like, I want to be a god now. What do you mean?
Yeah. You put so much pride into athletics, and I wasn't athletic, and I desperately wanted to be.
It's like, oh, look, here's a kid again trying to bunt. Like, nice job, Matt. Like,
and I'm best friends with Gumby, who's like leading the league and everything. He's just the best athlete I've ever seen in my life. And it's like, you know, even the guys that are like my age on the team, like Randy was the coach's son. They're not good, but like they're out there swinging every bat. And they're hitting 300.
They're getting
like,
chances.
Yeah, they get to hang their hat on the fact that like, they play baseball and they're good at it. I'm just the asshole who hits 9.
Yeah.
Well, I got to hit 7 because apparently like moving people over in the bottom third of the lineup is good. But it's like I'm just the asshole that they stick at first base because I have good hands and can't hit.
Yeah.
That bunts every single at bat, and I'm literally going home in tears because it's like I'm
not playing the same game my friends are.
Yeah, I'm worshiping Barry Bonds. I'm worshiping Ken Griffey. I want to be these guys.
Yeah.
And I don't get to play outfield because I'm fat and slow.
Yeah.
And I don't get to swing because I suck.
So take me through your 12-year-old season.
I was a god, man. I showed up at 12 and we started taking BP, Mr. Hess had taken over as the head coach. And we show up and I'm sure his expectations of me were nothing.
Oh, really? So they didn't know how good you got?
No, because Sean, his son, was the best athlete on the team for sure. So he was going to be our number one pitcher. He was probably going to hit in the 3-hole or whatever. And we show up to BP, and usually BP for me was
bunting.
15 pitches where I bunted the first 8 and swung through the next 7.
Yeah.
And we started off, and he's like, okay, square around and bunt. And I bunt a couple really good, and I got good at drag bunting and doing all the shits. He's like, okay, now swing away. And he puts in the pitching machine. It's just launched.
Yeah.
It's like, oh!
Did you
Where?
you know how good you were yet or no?
Yeah, because we used to play home run derby at the pool.
Okay.
So the field we played on, when we were kids, the pool was the only place that we hung out at the summer. Every day.
So you played baseball at the pool?
The field was right next to the pool.
The public
literally
pool
walk
had
across the parking lot
The public
and go
pool
to-
had a volleyball court, a sand volleyball court, a public baseball field for minor league, a public baseball field for high school level, and then basketball courts.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Nobody touched basketball.
Okay.
One of the hoops was low.
Got it.
So the only reason we would go there would be to dunk.
Yeah.
But nobody touched the basketball courts. Coming up, man, baseball was big.
Man, that sounds so fun. Just you and a bunch of your friends.
There would be 9 of us or 10 of us. We would split up teams of 5.
Yeah.
And we'd play home run derby. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Great.
But we started playing home run derby first, and I was just hitting balls into the trees.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, where did this come from?
Yeah.
What happened? We show up for the season that next year, and I'm just ready.
Yeah.
I hit cleanup all season long.
Man.
I led the league in home runs.
I hit
home runs.
I hit 2 home runs the opening day. One was a grand slam off of Smitty, and then
I also hit 2 home runs.
I think I struck out for the rest of the season.
Were they good?
No, you hit a home run in the Tournament of Champions.
Tournament of Champions, yes.
I'm going to find this cutout. I have it for sure.
I made the paper.
Him and I.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, by the way, every game that you hit a home run in, I hit a home run in also.
It's true.
Don't steal the Twitter.
No, you didn't hit one in the opening day.
Yeah, I did. Off Ben Sapinski in the last inning. It was a wall scraper to right field. I'll never forget this.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I knew that
actually
30
still have
years
the
later that he would hold this over you, Brian.
No, I'm not holding it over him.
No, he's not holding it over me.
I still have the ball though. I remember we blew them out.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Smitty played for the Yankees.
Yankees, yes. That's who we played, the Yankees.
Oh, then I didn't hit it opening day.
Right, Tigers.
I hit it off the Tigers.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah,
It took a few games, and until you finally got it, and then you went off.
Yeah, I hit two that game. I hit one off Giddy, or no, he played for the Pirates. I hit one off Sapinski and whoever their other pitcher was.
Yeah.
But anyway, neither here nor there. In the Tournament of Champions, we were playing in New Kensington versus a team that we didn't know, and Lamanna hits this home run to put us ahead. And there's a picture of I hit in front of him, so I think he hit me in.
Yeah.
Where I'm at the plate and he comes in, and we got the Bash Brothers pose.
You got the bro high five going, the wholesome bro high five.
Yeah. But then we ended up blowing them out. I hit one later in the game. Man.
And here you are now talking about
The
it
last
on
time I got
podcast.
hit by a baseball was the last time I tried to hit a baseball.
Me too. Me too, actually.
I was
I'm done.
I'm dead serious.
Me
I was
too.
at a batting cage. I somehow leaned into it, hit me in the head.
Oh,
In the head?
Yours was
Again.
a batting
In the
cage?
head?
In the batting cage, the worst.
Yeah, helmet on.
Mine wasn't a batting cage.
I was terrified of getting hit.
No.
And I got hit 3 times in my entire baseball career.
Literally, after that day, I never played baseball again.
No, I got
Man.
But I didn't. I mean, I still played after, but the first time I got hit by a baseball, I think it was 9 or 10, and this kid played travel baseball, and Florida baseball, I guess, was pretty good back then. This kid's probably throwing
Always.
55 when he was 9, so whatever. And he hit me in the back. He just hit me in the back, and I was just done. I was like, you know what? Why am I playing this game? Why am I doing this? I'm just gonna go play a different game.
There's soccer, basketball,
There's football, and there's other games.
It's so funny, man, because it's
This is a
baseball's
small-
changed so much.
This is a small, fast baseball. I don't want to get
Why
hit
the
by
fuck do I want to get hit by this thing?
Exactly.
I don't want to get hit by this fucking thing.
we agree.
I'd rather get hit by people.
I think that's the separator. I think that's the separator between kids who take it seriously and kids who don't. Getting over that fear of being hit, because
Yeah.
you're almost never hit, and nobody ever gets hurt.
Yeah.
Although I do in high school, Sawyer fouled a ball off his hands, and it came up and hit him right in the nose. It just shattered his nose.
Oh.
It was fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird. The only injuries that do happen are from like
foul balls.
Yeah, like weird foul
balls. It happened to my
balls.
catcher in college too. He fouled one off the hands and it hit him right in the fucking mouth, and his whole mouth was just destroyed.
Yeah, like when you're 12, they don't throw hard enough for you to get hit, unless you get hit in the face.
God, it felt like they did though.
At that time, you understand that this ain't the shit you want to do. I ain't trying to get hit by this little white ball with this fucking red stitching on it. You guys can keep this shit, all right?
I'm gonna go do something else.
Yo, same with lacrosse. Same thing with lacrosse. You guys can keep these white balls. White balls away from me. I'm good.
Man, lacrosse, ooh, they could be bad.
Yo, that lacrosse
you
ball?
miss like it's one of the first injuries that I had when I was younger was also from a baseball. When like I just missed a ball like over my head. I was playing catch with my dad. It just hit me straight in the face. Like it just hit me straight in the face. Got like stitches like right here across my face. Not great. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why?
No more white balls.
Why, just play
Why
football.
are you doing?
No more white. We'll just play some brown ball games.
Just
all
play
right?
football. Yo, play the safer sport.
What do you
football.
mean? Why are you doing this for the fucking glory, man?
That's right.
There's no
for the glory.
there. There's no glory.
To get your picture in the paper.
Goddamn right.
Give it a high five to Berkey.
I was convinced I was a superstar as a child. Like I put all of my
the
identity.
thing is,
I went to soccer.
you still think you're a superstar.
No, I don't. No, I absolutely don't. That's the irony is that like I actually have accomplished something in an industry, and to me it feels like I've accomplished nothing. But like in junior high and high school, like I was positive that they were going to talk about this for decades to come.
It's because we have like such inflated egos that we're the most important.
No. It
people.
wasn't that.
It's just us talking about it decades ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just like
It wasn't the inflated ego part. It was that I was sure I was going to make it.
Oh.
And that they were going to look back and just be like, wow, I knew. I knew when he was 12.
You, they like your high school and stuff.
Yeah, like Mr. Smell was like, crusher. I got to tell you, man, like you're out here, you're doing it. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. It's like, in reality, he should be like, you're too fat, you're too short, your hands are too stubby, you're not going to make shit out of yourself.
Maybe you would have done it, actually. Maybe you would have spite proven him wrong.
No, the only time that worked was after my senior season. I was like the number 1 pitcher in the Valley.
What is this, the Karate Kid?
How big is the valley? Like
Decent.
a mile?
No, it's big because it's rural.
Yeah.
It's very rural.
You were
So
Northeast, so the other valley in California is all karate. This is baseball.
Right, yeah, this is all
Midwest
baseball.
Valley?
Yeah.
But I remember the assistant coach at the time, Krieger, who was really nice. He liked me a lot. He was like, are you going to try to play college ball? I was like, yeah, like I don't want to do nothing else. He's like, you should definitely try to play as a first baseman. You have no shot as a pitcher.
I love
was
these
like,
people.
and like I wasn't even upset about it because it's like I don't want to pitch. I want to hit. But I also recognize it's like, well, all of my accolades are in pitching. And sure enough, like every college was recruiting me to pitch.
Yeah.
So I ended up pitching for 4 years in school, but I wish he was right. I wish I could have just went and nothing made me happier than the day the pitchers got to take BP in practice. It was always such a roll of the eyes for everybody else where the coach would just be like, all right.
Pitchers get the hit today.
Pitchers BP day, guys. Get out in the outfield, shag some fucking balls. And you watch like 8 guys go up there that haven't swung a bat their entire lives. And they're like spinning themselves into the dirt. But then there's a couple of us who have like been waiting all fucking year for
Right,
this.
you're like, this is my
And I'm
moment.
up here, it's just like, just fucking give me one. I swear to all that's holy, I'm going to hit that sorority house across the fucking street.
Yo, when it comes to sports, nothing like drives me more crazy than soccer being absolutely nothing here and everything upon everything across the ocean.
Move. Get the fuck out.
Yo, it
We
is
don't want
the
you.
worst.
Get out of here.
Get out.
I was so good at soccer growing
Get
up.
out of here
You should have
then.
moved.
I should have.
But you didn't. You're here.
My mom was going to take a job as a nurse in Saudi Arabia.
Man, imagine what would have happened if we would have sent Conrad to Saudi Arabia to play soccer.
You would have been getting it popping in Saudi Arabia.
Yo,
He would have a tab with a sheik right now.
do you know what my
I don't think
sheet
that's a
tab-
good tab to have.
I don't know.
we'd
You
be
know what a sheik?
popping.
All I'd have to do is shit on his chest to wipe it,
Yeah.
or get you to do it.
do you mean get me to do it? I don't just do that for free.
Well, he can cut you in and put it on the
You're
tab.
not cutting me in. I don't need a middleman to shit on a chest.
No, but he needs you to wipe the tab.
Yeah,
I
well,
feel
that's
like-
not my problem.
Guys, I feel like there needs to be some context in this shit chest story.
We've given it in previous episodes. They can
we?
go back.
Okay.
They can go. You can go back and find
There
it.
is allegedly a sheik amongst the high rollers that pays women to shit on his chest.
Yep.
Or
Specifically Instagram models.
well, you don't want a Uggo doing it, you know. You want
You're
a nice,
getting your chest shit on.
I mean,
and
well,
it's
yeah, but you want a
already-
nice manicured butthole. You know, you want to
We don't
really
know hairy
enjoy
shit.
that turd getting cut.
Can we be
From
done?
experience,
I'm
you're
done with this one.
You got to make sure it's a bleached asshole.
I
you
don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. We've been going for too long. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you guys for letting me rant about baseball for one day.
Yep.
This is the happiest I've been since we started this podcast. I want everybody to take note. Every time they come in here and Landon goes, Matt's down bad, Matt's down sad. It's because we're not talking baseball, man.
Today he was up glad.
Melissa was supposed to go home early today.
She left an
I
hour
don't know
ago.
why I came today. I didn't say a
Melissa
word.
did go home.
You can
early.
jump
She's
in
been
anytime you
checked
want. They
out
wear
since-
tight
I have
pants.
nothing to say, but I don't
Of
know what you
course.
guys are talking
I
about.
mean, they wear tight pants, you know, butts and stuff.
Yeah, and then you'll say, stop changing the subject.
No. You can change the subject within the realm. Just don't start just don't start talking about butts on George Michael. It doesn't apply.
Oh, too late for that.
A guy with two first
Hopefully
names.
we don't
never
have another
trust him.
episode like this.
She
for
had a
while.
Wham poster
R.I.P.
growing up for sure.
Listen, he gets what?
So did
What
Lamanna.
episode is this of the podcast? 75.
Today?
Yeah.
78.
78.
Wow, we're so
See,
old.
It's okay. So we've had 78 episodes. He gets one of these. Like,
Yeah, let me have my minute.
Yeah.
We're so
Yeah,
old,
that's it.
guys.
We'll get to do it again when the World
Next-
Series starts.
Yeah, World Series.
Let's just
and then
take a
next year.
moment and realize we are 78 episodes in.
And fucking crushing it.
That's
Yeah.
a fucking lot
We're
of
like
episodes.
2.5
it.
months old.
All right, come on, guys. Let's give it up to ourselves.
That's right.
We're here. We fucking
You know who the
All
trick-
right, we're here.
Guapo is the unsung hero. Nice
Yes.
work, Guapo.
Guapo
my
on the
dude.
switches.
I still don't believe you're
working the
the
cuts
age
over
you
there.
say you are. You're not the age you say you are. There's no way. Just anyways.
We're gonna have to get a camera on him one day and just poll the audience, see what.
How old
what
is
age
this
it-
man?
How old,
How
is
old
this
is this
man?
man?
How old is this man?
All right, that's going to wrap it for today's show. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Thank you for entertaining my baseball talk. I like talking shop every once in a while. Please like, subscribe, comment below. Give us your tales of Little League.
Yes.
Who your favorite all-star was growing up. What you think about the modern-day era and the home run derby. Or hell, let us know what you think about Landon running it with threes every goddamn chance he gets.
I know what these people think about me when I run this stuff with threes.
We went over.
Bert,
That's right.
let's give him his respect. Deuces through fours.
That's true. That's true.
It's not every pair. It's just the lowest ones. They unblock. I'm not going to talk about it. Good night, guys.
Oh, man. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Reminder, we do still have 4 seats open for the Poker Out Loud Academy. We got to fill them, so I'm here to plug it. Head over to academy.solveforwhy.io if you want to check that out. Appreciate you guys so much for the support. Smash that like button on your way out. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you again at noon tomorrow.
Peace.